Hi, this is Stuart Beal, and this is the Beal Real Estate Podcast. Today we have Hunter and Michael and Ryan in the podcast room. We are talking about 14 West Michigan, the former Hobbs restaurant in downtown Ypsilanti. We are discussing this project because we are searching for a couple of investors to come into this deal with us. We are opening a barcade called the High Score Social, and this is going to be the first episode about this, and we'll get a couple more episodes as we continue planning. I want to introduce Michael Lloyd. He's our operating partner. I own the building, Hobbs, and Michael is going to own as much as 50% of High Score Social. He is going to be what's called the proprietor. He's the entrepreneur behind the business, and he's going to be the general manager responsible for operation, events, staffing, guest experience, and programming. Michael, say hello.
Hey everybody, this is Michael Lloyd, Ypsilanti native, entrepreneur, and very excited to be working on this project with Stuart and the whole team.
All right, great. Next we have Hunter Pizzo. He's asset management with Beal Capital. He handles a lot of our tricky projects that require redevelopment, feasibility, financing, historic tax credit, project planning, construction management. And then one of the most challenging things that we work with at Beal Real Estate is getting a building prepared enough where a tenant can come in and take over from there. So a lot of the reasons these old buildings in Michigan sit vacant is because the landlord has not prepared the building for a tenant to come in. The electrical service is outdated, the mechanicals are outdated, and that's what Hunter works on, is to get those so that the tenant can more plug and play with what they're trying to do. So Hunter, tell us about where we're at with this building.
Yeah, so some of the things that we're working on currently at the building here is, like Stuart said, a lot of the times operators don't know where to start when it comes to a business approaching them and want to open up, whether it's a startup like this one or a functional business that's already been in business for years, and what it's going to take for them to be able to move into the business and open up their doors to the public. So one of the things that we're working on in the building right now is getting it to what we call a white box condition in this industry. What that means is, flooring, fresh coat of paint on the walls, the ceiling in order, like Stuart had mentioned earlier, making sure the mechanicals are up to code and functional, have their certifications, make sure that the electrical service can handle the new incoming tenant and allow for their intended use at the building. And then just, work with them to fill out a business registration and open up the doors. So that's one of the things we've started on very much in the beginning phases.
All right, great. So let's take a step back though and talk about the history of the building. This building was built more than 150 years ago. It was a bar for a long time, and then it became the Hobbs restaurant. The Hobbs restaurant was operated for about 100 years. And it's a business in downtown Ypsilanti that was like a staple of the community. Every single person who lives in the Ypsilanti area has been to Hobbs multiple times. It's where you had your birthdays, your business events, just a lot of really community-oriented business at Hobbs restaurant. The food was good, not like super high-end, but good. And I personally went there probably 50 times with my family over the last 10 years. I lived within walking distance, and so got to know the owners, Mike Cabot and his son, and the wait staff. Hobbs was more than a restaurant. It was like a community icon. It's like it was the best, most famous restaurant in Ypsilanti for many, many years. The building kind of had a little bit of less investment than you'd want, and they never pivoted or updated their menu, and so their sales kind of went down over time. Also, they used to be their biggest years of sales were in the 70s when everyone drank liquor at lunch.
Yeah.
And like people don't drink liquor at lunch as much anymore.
Want to bet?
So that kind of went downhill. But COVID really hurt everything in downtown Ypsilanti, and they suffered through COVID, tried to do a few things, but ultimately Mike Cabot was over 80 years old, time to retire. They closed the restaurant and sold the building to us. This is a historic redevelopment. Again, it's a building that's 150 years old. Historic preservation is much of what we do at Beal Real Estate, so we're just excited to be involved in this project.
Yeah, I think something cool to add to that is to just like the history of Hobbs. Looking into it, it survived the Great Depression, World War II, some of the economic recessions that we talked about with the 150 years, and I mean, long before I-94 was developed, US 12 was the main corridor between Detroit and Chicago. I live off US 12 just a little bit west, so I really buy into that history. So just the different businessmen that have passed through that over the time and going in there, so when it was a saloon, all the way up to, like you said, I hosted those birthday parties and you brought your family in there. It's just it's a really cool piece of history.
Yeah, good. So our goal is to preserve it. And Michael, what drew you to the building?
What drew me to the Hobbs building was the opportunity to work on this new community building opportunity. About 5 years ago, I started working on a business called Thrive Elite Entertainment that was big in the esports industry. And when I saw the opportunity to partner with Stewart and then build something in my own backyard here at home in my community that's already a staple of the community, it was just a win-win-win for me on all different angles.
Great. So we acquired the building in 2023. We purchased the building for $325,000. Nate with Financial Plus Credit Union and Chad Hoffmeyer worked together to get us the loan. When we purchased the building, we knew we were going to have a ton of work to do, and I just saw a lot of opportunity being on Michigan Avenue. This building is going to be near Water Street, which I think is finally going to get off the ground in 2027, 2028. And it's just a very prominent building across from City Hall. There's about 5 different restaurants within one block, so it's just really well located. And we just thought that the building needs new life, and that's what we do, is going to breathe new life into this building through investments in the mechanicals, the electrical, finishes. Now, there were many challenges with this building. We almost didn't buy it because of environmental problems. In Ypsilanti, you've got 150 to 200 years of environmental problems. You've got anywhere from like heavy manufacturing to dry cleaners to asbestos, lead. And so we had to really get our hands around that. And I think we had to install a sub slab. What was that, Hunter?
Yeah, it's an SSDS system, a sub-slab depressurization system. So really what it does is some of the contaminants that you had mentioned earlier from one of the local dry cleaners, who I won't name, it had contaminated the soil and some of the groundwater in the area. It's very heavily monitored by Eagle and the state, just that whole area in general, just not specifically this building, for some of the contaminants. So yeah, the system we install, what it does is it allows the building to be safe and operable for an incoming business. So again, it kind of ties into what we had mentioned earlier, getting a building ready for that tenant. And what it does is it takes some of the vapor gases that are released from the contaminants, and then it safely takes those vapors and removes them through the roof of the building out into the outside air, so that way that localized area is safe and habitable for businesses. And
a lot of times these environmental concerns are kind of overblown, in my opinion, but what does the state require? They take it pretty far, and so when we partner with the state, it's going to be, people were finding it at Hobbs for 100 years, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But now we're taking it one level further to make it like super safe.
Yeah. So just naturally, as buildings turn over, it's a lot like taxes in real estate. As buildings turn over, taxes go through the roof, they uncap, right? So it's really no different when it comes to operators too. There's different people in the position at the municipality or at the state level taking a look at those things and monitoring those things. And when a building changes hands, it kind of notifies them of some of the issues that are going on in that area. So it allows them to dig into it, reach out to you, make sure that you are in compliance. So one of the things that we're discussing as far as like the vapor barriers, there's a certain amount of levels that are allowed into the air, the particulates in the air. And what it does is we just they monitor and make sure that we're below that local level, and that's the system that we partner with Darcy Environmental Consultants allows us to stay below those state regulated levels.
And what other unknowns have we dealt with in this building so far?
Yeah, some of the other unknowns are just like some of the wonky mechanical systems that were in there. There's like this weird conveyor belt, but it's also cool fan system that was in there. Part of the building never had AC, which is crazy considering all the years it was a restaurant that it didn't have AC. It just had a fresh air return where it bring some of the air outside and then circulate it and then pump it back out with an old compressor. So that was one of the wonky things that was in with the building. And then also on the second floor too, there was some really weird like layouts in apartments. There was 2, maybe 3 apartments upstairs when we bought the building. 2, I'd say for sure. The third had some weird roommate situation going on when we had bought the building. So, part of that is, going to be able to redevelop and utilize that space better.
Great. And Michael, what were your first impressions of the building, and what kind of drew you to the building, and what was like the potential that you saw where you could see like this concept that you developed in your mind and on paper 5 years ago could like come to life in the building?
So the first thing that came to mind when I walked in the building was all my core memories came back of the time that I spent in Hobbs. I had a swim banquet at Hobbs before, so just kind of, although all of the furniture is all out of there, just all those memories coming back in. And then as far as I began walking through the building is actually very well designed to be separated into a variety of zones. And so as I was working on what type of experiences that we would want our guests to come in and have, it was very easy to separate the building into what is now currently about 9 zones. So we'll be able to have 9 different experiences for guests to come in to High Score Social.
Great. And not everybody knows this wasn't the original plan for the building. We rented it to a restaurant called Hobbs Barrel House.
Yep.
And what happened there, Hunter?
Yeah, so we thought another restaurant coming in would be the perfect partner for a building like this, a restaurant that had been in business for an immense amount of time prior, and we partnered with an operator who's going to try and take the Hobbs name and continue to run it there. Unfortunately, restaurant startups aren't the easiest business. I mean, I think most developers and most people in the real estate industry, especially on the commercial side of things, can understand that. It's very difficult to have a startup business in a new market that with a name that people don't necessarily recognize behind the Hobbs name, and be able to take it and carry it across the finish line and have a functional business. So it didn't really work out, didn't have the reviews it wanted. There were some operating deficiencies that took on, and really it just ended up not working out. And
there were some health problems too.
Yeah, there were some health problems with one of the operators there too, and that he was personally going through. So it was better just to kind of part ways and move on from that, and go on to the next chapter of what Hobbs could be.
Yeah. So we're entrepreneurs, we're real estate investors. We realize that everything you try doesn't always work.
Yep.
Comparing to Major League Baseball, Major League Baseball players are elite if they get a hit 2.5 times out of 10 at this point. 3.
If their batting average is 250,
yeah,
they're probably employed still.
Right. Yeah. And so 3 out of 10, they're elite. Now, of course, we try to do better than 3 out of 10, but I think probably realistically 6 or 7 out of the things out of 10 that we try work out well. And so just some things don't. The key is being well capitalized so that if things don't work out, you can pivot. And that's what we're doing here with the support of Nate with Financial Plus Credit Union and some of the new investors that we want to bring in to the building. So lesson learned. One of the key lessons that we learned is we need to make sure as owners of commercial real estate that the tenants are well capitalized. And secondly, they have a really good business plan. And what we screwed up as an organization on the last go around is he promised a business plan, but could never deliver upon the business plan. Then all of a sudden he was open, and it was like, whoa, we're open. What do you mean we're open? We don't even have the business plan yet. And so that it fell apart kind of rapidly because none of that planning in advance was taking place. So that's why we're really, with Michael's lead, focusing on the business plan so heavily. And so how did high score social come about? I walked downtown Ypsilanti. I realized there's 10 to 15 restaurants. We don't need another restaurant in this area. There's 5 right around the corner. And so I thought, what could bring people downtown that would support the other businesses? And I thought an entertainment arcade venue, lots of kid-focused stuff would be beneficial. And so that's, I put a call out on Facebook. Michael answered the call, and Michael, tell us through what's High School Social and what the plan is.
So High Score Social is a arcade, a modern gaming lounge, and a esports lounge. And then we will also have social gaming. It's being built around competition, community, which we've talked a lot about today, curriculum, and creativity. With High Score Social, we're going to be able to, gaming is a very diverse community. Young people play video games I've joked with friends in the past that I see nursing homes in the future having Xboxes instead of bingo night. So gaming as far as age-wise, it has a big group of people who enjoy playing it. And what we want to do with separating the building into zones is we want to be able to accommodate as many people as possible. So for example, the upper level of High Score Social will be designed around families. Parents with kids, teenagers after school, they'll be able to come in and reserve some time to play with their friends on more modern gaming consoles that maybe they're familiar with, Xboxes, PlayStations, things of that nature. And the main attraction at High Score Social is going to be our arcade. The arcade is going to span all 3 levels of the building. And the arcade, depending on what time of day it is, will be able to accommodate the families, the teenagers, but then also later at night, High Score Social will transform more into an adult environment to support the downtown social life that already exists in downtown Ypsilanti, where we'll be able to have events that are more tailored towards college students and working adults. We will have a bar, so to be able to come in and have a drink and play some arcade games with your friends. Tournaments, leagues, events. Hobbs was a big event place, and that's one of the things that we definitely will be preserving from the Hobbs identity, is that community events and really being a social place, a place to belong and connect with everyone.
So, a lot of people talk about video game players playing in their dingy basement or their mom's dingy basement. What's going to be the difference between that and this? Obviously, we're going to charge people a modest price to enter the facility, but what are the benefits of coming to do that at our facility versus in your mom's basement?
So video games have evolved over time. For example, the traditional arcade was there before you could purchase a console to have at your house in the first place. So, back in the day, that was how you got together with your friends, as you met up at the arcade, and we will have some of those retro arcade machines at High Score Social. So the first time you may have played Super Mario Brothers might have been on an old arcade machine. It might not have been on your, original Nintendo console. So that was gaming before they introduced consoles to homes. Okay, now you have consoles at home, and one of the things that happened kind of during my childhood was the internet, Wi-Fi, and there was a time where there's a joke where you could see a bunch of kids' bikes outside and you're like, okay, everyone's in there. They used to call them LAN parties. You'd get together and you have a bunch of monitors and you'd go play, games with your friends at a buddy's house. And then as Wi-Fi kicked in, people started to separate even more. And it's like, we don't all have to gather in the same space anymore to enjoy these games. I could throw on a headset and we could be anywhere. While that's great for broadening our ability to connect with other people, there is a sense of missing that connection to be able to game next to a buddy or even a stranger, or get a new experience. Sometimes when you're playing at home, you're just kind of stuck in the same loop of a particular game that you like. But what I hope with high score social is that people connect themselves with other games that maybe they wouldn't have played at home. So you might meet a new friend, you might connect with an old friend, you might connect with a video game that maybe you wouldn't have played on your own. And then there's also like that social element. With the younger people, the teenagers, gaming has even gone beyond the Wi-Fi gaming now, where it's even at a professional level, and colleges have esports teams. And so the curriculum is a big piece of high score social. So we're looking to connect young people with opportunities to take what is a hobby and turn it into something that, like me as a former football player, turn that into a way to help pay for college or to help enhance their college experience. Or maybe if they dream of being a professional gamer, that this is a step to that, where they can come in to high score social, they can have a competitive setting, and they can learn things like teamwork and confidence and critical thinking. I have an engineering degree, so a lot of my critical thinking work, while having fun, I felt like I got a benefit from that playing video games.
So do you guys have plans on also tapping into, I feel like IPSI in general, just like the core demographic of IPSI has a lot of retro, vibes and stuff like that. Now, do you plan on having some of the retro video games, like the pinball games and things of that nature, where, you hit a lot on the younger demographic, more of my age and younger, I'd say that millennial age and younger. I know a lot of guys in their 50s and 60s that love a really cool pinball machine. I actually have an operator friend who has one down in Ohio, shout out to Finney's, it's strictly retro and it's a barcade, and that's it. You go in there to play that one pinball machine you've had your eye on. Are you guys planning on tapping into that at all?
So we will. Like I said, the building is designed through our operating hours, as well as through the way the building is set up. Like if you came in the daytime and you were like your buddy, like you mentioned, you could be able to go down to our lower level, and on the lower level we'll be more in a adult focused area. You can grab some beers at the bar, and then down there we will have a pinball section. So there will be a section dedicated to pinball. You can find your favorite pinball game that maybe you've played over the years, or maybe you'll find a new pinball game that you hadn't got to play before. Down there we'll also host things like the area where you might go to shoot pool. That's a very common game that you find at bars and other arcades. So down there you'll find pool and you'll find pinball machines. Near our bar currently, and it may change, but currently is where we have a lot of our retro arcade machines. So yeah, those particular areas. And then also, like I was saying earlier, video games, while it's one big community, there are small communities within that. And so with our event programming, I hope to have a night that maybe is just particularly dedicated to those retro gamers in Ypsilanti. So like retro gaming night Thursday or something.
Yeah, cool.
So.
And this business concept is not something entirely new. We're not inventing this concept. What comparables? Ypsilanti, the city itself, has nothing, but what comparable businesses are out there that you kind of look at and kind of bounce some ideas off of and things like that? So
we looked at quite a few, but I'll point to two of them. One of them, Stuart has already mentioned, Pinball Pete's in Ann Arbor. They have a very similar history to Hobbs and some of the things that they've overcome. Now they may not have been a restaurant, but they've been around for a very long time. They did go through the COVID area recently, and they also went through having to relocate. And one of the reasons why I think Pinball Pete's, and it connects a lot to our strategy of community. We're big on community. That's what Pinball Pete's represents to me. It's more than just the games at Pinball Pete's. It's about the memories of being young, and then maybe bringing your child there as you're an older adult. So it's very simple. That community aspect is big, and that's what kind of drew me to Pinball Pete's as an inspiration. And then the other business that we looked at pretty heavily is Dave & Buster's. Well, that one's kind of not necessarily in Washtenaw County. The closest one I believe is in Livonia. They do a very good job of transitioning the facility throughout the day. We've talked about that a lot, where we can be a facility for families and kids and teenagers throughout the day, and then at nighttime be more of an adult focused business. And Dave & Buster's business model does that, where after 8 o'clock, after 9 o'clock, you have to be of a certain age to be in there. They are ahead of schedule on a new form of gaming that's coming into the gaming world, and that's social gaming. We're currently looking at supercharged shuffleboard. That's something that they have. There's some interactive darts experiences. So social gaming will be a part of High Score Social. So we've looked at them as a source of inspiration for social gaming.
Yeah, so one of the reasons I kind of thought of this is I spent my teen years and younger in Pinball Pete's, and then now that I have kids, we're going to Pinball Pete's. They are going to do things a little bit differently. They don't have any esports, they don't have any social gaming, and they don't have any drinks, and they don't have any food. And we're going to incorporate all of that into this business concept. Food will come from neighboring restaurants, so we're not going to be competing with neighboring restaurants, and hopefully that means that those neighboring restaurants will send their customers to us when they're done eating. And then Hunter, what is this going to do for downtown foot traffic?
Yeah, it's the goal is to just increase foot traffic in general, especially in the nice months like we're coming into now. It's maybe I'll go down to Red Rock or hit the Cocktail Club or Water Tower Distilling and go get a drink there. But then it's like, hey, we got a couple hours to burn till dinner. Let's go check out this new arcade that's bustling downtown. So hopefully it increases that and just adds to the overall feel of downtown MC.
Yeah, good. So I was driving down Michigan Avenue and I saw this family park. And before the adults could get out of the car, the kids were running towards the Rocket. And the Rocket is like a fun game, silly store, where you can buy all sorts of different birthday presents and things like that. But I was like impressed. I was like, oh my God, like what business could we open in downtown Ypsilanti that could be a second business where people would actually run to the business?
Yeah. And
I think that we landed upon this business where I think that next year we're going to see people literally running to the business. That's how excited they're going to be. And that's why we kind of settled on this model.
Yeah, and I think you really hit on that earlier too, just as far as with all the restaurants, being able to partner with them rather than look at as a competitor, being able to have them come in and it's like, hey, maybe after dinner they drop a 10% off gift card to High Score Social. Hey, here's 10 credits. Go check out this new event center down there. Beautiful. Oh, by the way, we'll be down there and have food on Thursday nights.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So Michael, tell us about what your role is and what your plan is to get this business open.
So my role is I'm co-founding the business with Stuart, and I am currently in charge of operations. Right now, my main focus is on the business plan, creating a great business plan, and then currently working with multiple suppliers. I actually have a visit at the site tomorrow with an arcade game supplier. I'm working diligently on these things. As the business gets closer to opening, I will serve in the general manager's role. So that's the day-to-day operations of the building. That's hiring a staff, training a staff, building a culture, making sure we keep the building clean and family friendly, and the event programming, and then just managing the business day to day. That's actually the part that I'm most excited about, is getting to experience those people running down the street, the High Source Social, and seeing their smiling faces and giving this experience that currently is on paper to the community.
And what is success going to look like?
I kind of just touched on it there. Success for me is those smiling faces in High Source Score Social, coming in, exiting, sharing it with their friends. And then also So we talked about a lot about how, you know, people can promote High Score Social, the businesses, but I also hope that we're driving new traffic to Ypsilanti. I would love to see that foot traffic. The reach that we potentially have can pull from outside of Ypsilanti. So if I'm having a tournament and somebody lives in, you know, Lansing or further north, or, you know, towards Detroit or wherever, I'm hoping we bring in new people to Ypsilanti so they can experience all the awesome stuff that we have to offer in downtown Ypsilanti.
Yeah, great. And Hunter, why, when we're going on a historic redevelopment like this, should we have an operator in place and be partnering with a business? What's easier about that? And then roll into talking about tax credits.
Yeah. So I mean, it's one of the biggest things when you're coming into like a new development or really any commercial building is be able to identify who your operator is going to be, because you go into these things, and I'm looking at it from the real estate perspective. You buy it, it sits vacant. You know, vacant businesses for a long time do not create foot traffic and all the things that we're striving for and pushing for here. So being able to identify an operator going into a building like this is huge for us. One of the things that we're going to be working on is obtaining some historic preservation and tax credits for the building itself, along to help fund the project. We're working with a consultant who specializes in this field within the development and tax credit projects. They have a history of working with multiple different municipalities. We're working on a big project up in Manistee, Michigan right now. They're looking at some other local municipalities too, like Ypsilanti and Ann Arbor, where they've had success doing this. They do believe that this project is a perfect candidate for it, just with all the history and the background of the building that we had hit on and discussed before. The role is going to be helping us evaluate the building, identify qualifying improvements, navigating the entire application process, and determining what incentives might be available. So some of that is brought in on the design side that Michael was hitting on earlier, and you know, maybe there's certain beams within the building we have to preserve and work around. That is also a challenge, because that also drives up construction costs, and that's where those tax credits come into play to help fund those things. So it's very important to bring them in early on in the project, because you can't even start the project without getting a documented letter saying that they're going to help fund that with some of those credits. The reason that tax credits are so important is it's because it's a historic redevelopment. It's often more expensive than people realize. You're not just renovating a building, you're trying to preserve all the historic features like I talked about, the beams, the exterior facade, even just the color of the paint on the building, some of the old green sconces on the exterior that we're talking about now. Just being able to maintain those, repair those, and restore them. And these tax credits, the goal is to help bridge some of that financial gap and make projects like this even possible, because you know, at the end of the day, it all costs money.
Yeah, good. So how can you get involved in High Score Social? We are looking for investors. You can invest in the business in $25,000 increments. We're in the planning phase as to how much capital we need to raise from investors. But if you want to invest in this project, connect with me, sbeal@gobeal.com. And you can also go to gobeal.com and see the deck on the website here any day now. And we'd love for you to be involved. We also are welcoming feedback from the community. So we'll have a website launched here in the next couple of weeks. You'll be able to connect with Michael through the website and just, you know, give us feedback about what you want to see in High Score Social. Michael, what excites you the most about this project, and how could the business evolve over time? You know, trying out things in the beginning and then expanding about them, and what are your thoughts there?
So what excites me the most about the business is what it's going to do for the people in the community, the opportunities that it's going to have for young people to learn new skills, connect with people to teach them things, to prepare them for a potential, like I said, college scholarship opportunity through gaming. Also, the connection that gaming has with STEM careers, so that piece. And then on the adult side of things, the opportunity to reconnect through nostalgia and have new experiences, social experiences. This is good for corporations and businesses wanting to have team bonding experiences. So just being able to provide those experiences for the community is what excites me the most. And then as the business evolves, one thing about video games is it's a very rapidly changing industry for sure. And we're prepared to change with the industry to make sure that creativity is a big part of our business. You know, if a certain arcade machine isn't drawing the attention that we would like it to, we're not opposed to changing it out. Even having flexibility within our zones. There's different things that we can do with birthday parties and different things we can do on the councils. So we're prepared to be very agile and flexible as a business to continue to move with the gaming industry. Because like I said, everything moves fast except for the release of Grand Theft Auto 6.
So Hunter, what kind of timeline are we on? We need to get a liquor license. We need to get some historic tax credit approvals. What are we working on?
Yeah, I mean, redevelopment projects are never fast, especially when you're working with historic tax credits. There's no quick process about it. Normally you can get something like that turned around within 6 months if you're really on the ball there. So with us beginning that, I'd say the timer has started. But one of the things is you cannot start construction until you do have evidence that you have been elected to receive those tax credits. So we're really on that timeline. We're also still working through some of the construction and design phase with our in-house construction team. They provided a lot of good feedback. You know, some of the challenges with this stuff, like we talked about earlier, is the electrical load calculations. And an arcade's going to take some electric. There's going to be a lot of equipment in there. There's going to be some heavier consoles, some heavier pinball machines. Might require some reinforcement on the construction development design side with reinforcing some joists and things of that nature. And then also just, you know, with the amount of people we hope to attract and that are going to be in the building at one time, that being able to have you know, the max capacity of operators in there playing on the machines. We want to make sure that the building is safe structurally and work through some of those construction phases to, you know, give out the best possible project. So we're excited. We're looking to speed up the process and timeline as much as possible, but we also want to be diligent in our process and really take it step by step and make sure that we're going through the proper process and procedures.
Yeah, so thanks everyone for tuning in to the Beal Real Estate Podcast, talking about High Score Social. We'll keep you informed as we move along. Thank you, Hunter and Michael, for joining me. We're really interested in community feedback. We'll get the website up. Obviously, you're going to see this podcast all over social media. Share in the comments what you think is a good idea, what you think is a bad idea. I know some people have expressed some concerns about safety, security. We'll address that as our business plan comes together, and we'll talk about that in our next podcast. This is more about redeveloping a building. It's preserving a piece of Ypsilanti history, honoring the Cabot family and the Hobbs restaurant, and creating something that the next generation can enjoy, and doing something good for Ypsilanti. So thank you guys. Talk to you soon.